just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Only just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
Welcome to the HVAC Guide live show. My name is Josh, and we will be answering your questions live. Sometimes we are joined by other pros in the chat who might know answers to questions that I don't. Let's be honest, that's not hard to do. Tonight, we have a special guest who is an expert in the HVAC industry. But before we bring on Ron, let's take care of a few housekeeping matters. The first thing is, as I've said multiple times, on our other shows, the live show now has its own home. If you catch this, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, trying to, show that algorithm that this is our new home for the live show. And that's the best way to do that. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. The next thing is, next week we are joined by another amazing guest. Let me pull up, because before I get my weeks messed up. Yeah. So next week's guest has one of the top podcasts in the industry. I'm talking national. I'm telling you, when I started my business, I listened to this guy's podcast, and he will be a guest on our show next week. So make sure you're here next week, same time, same place, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday nights, or 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And then finally, if you do catch this on one of the major podcast platforms, we now are sharing our show to all the major podcast platforms, all the Apples and the Spotifys and all that fun stuff. And, it helps us if you leave us a review. Hopefully it's a good review, but a review nonetheless. You can put on there how annoying I am. A lot of people do. So just leave us some sort of review on there. That seems to help with that. So last but not least, let's pay the bills and thank the sponsor of tonight's show.
Daikin Fit is so quiet, you'll definitely notice by not really noticing at all. Save space, save energy, save interruptions. Enjoy the game-changing efficiency of the Daikin Fit. It cools, dehumidifies, and heats so efficiently, it even keeps your energy bills comfortable. Daikin Fit.
If you are in the chat, feel free to say hello. Hello to Horace and Tech Junkie. We will not be listening to any more of Horace's comments tonight. We are not a fan of Horace Cates. If you see his comments, we will not be responding to any of his comments moving forward. That said, Horace is a good friend of ours. That's why I'm picking on him. Tonight's guest is an expert in the HVAC industry. He may be the most qualified person we've ever had on our show to give you insight to what's actually the concerns for many homeowners buying HVAC, because he deals with more customers making that big decision buying a heating and air conditioning system than any guest we've had so far. He's the vice president, general manager, and part owner of 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning in the Outer Banks, and co-owner of a second successful HVAC venture. He's known in his community for being a business leader while serving on several town boards and constantly seeking ways to contribute to the area's growth and development. He's also featured in national publications and is a Forbes Business Council member. I'm excited to have him. Everyone welcome Ron Seidman. Let's go. They were lined up outside the door, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Man, after all that, I'm kind of waiting for the next guy next week now, honestly, and tons of lies in the whole introduction.
No, we
You got everybody pepped up, and then I pop on the screen, and that's the end of it. Everybody goes home.
No way. I think the view count went up as soon as you hit the screen. So I appreciate you
We're at
coming
3.
on.
Horse
Tech
doesn't count.
Junkie is one of our the folks that join us every week, and he says, "Outer Banks, are you hiring?" So
Definitely hiring. Let's go. See you tomorrow, 7:30.
7:30. Yeah, you guys, you pretty much dominate your area, right? You guys are probably the biggest in your area, and let's be honest, it's the Outer Banks. I mean, who wouldn't want to come down and work with you guys?
It's a beautiful area, filled with all kinds of, first in flight. The Wright brothers took off from here with their plane. The beautiful beaches. And I think the beach is always rated in the top 5 or whatever in the country. One of our beaches is. So it is a beautiful place, beautiful area. Summertime we roll. Wintertime they roll up the streets. So it's a whole thing, man.
I feel like heat and air guys, I always tell people when I used to have my business, when I made my hires, I'm like, look, we vacation when no one else vacations, right? When everyone else is on vacation, we have to make sure we take care of them. And then, we vacation when they're all, not here or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you being here. I think as I said in the intro, I believe you're probably one of the biggest, contractors we've had on, and to me that really plays well into a lot of the content that we make. Because I mean, I think not only are you in front of homeowners a lot, but you're also in a market where those systems probably get abused more than most anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, the going joke here is plastic rust. Everything, is terrible. No matter what it is, it's going to rust away. So everything does take a huge beating, unlike other areas, maybe in inland in Virginia, or even inland here a little bit. 20 years out of a heat pump here, 5, 10 is about the max life you're going to see in a heat pump. You have some that are older, but it depends on where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So even if you take good care of the system, you're going to be lucky to get, 10 years out of it, or 15 for sure.
Yeah. Pro tip number 1, rinse your condenser coil down whenever you wash your car, take the hose out. Get the salt water off of it. That's, if you're down here, that's what we tell everybody.
Yeah.
Rinsing them is a huge deal. We do it on every maintenance. Try to clean them off and stuff, but the salt, it sticks to everything and it just eats it away.
Yeah.
Sorry. Everybody's blowing
Very
me
cool.
up, and it starts.
All those emergency calls come through right as you start the live show.
Yeah. Somebody else is answering those right now.
Okay. So what are some things that, other than the salt spray, that you would say to homeowners when they're in the market for a heating and air system? Like, what are maybe some suggestions that you would give them, to avoid some of the problems that a lot of them have?
So a coastal coating is always good, and I see Tech Junkie. He's saying he's actually saying in the chat about the salt protectant coating.
Mhm.
We do offer that. We offer that on just about every proposal we send out as an accessory. You can have it sprayed. I would recommend it. I can't promise how many extra years it's going to give you, but it gives you a little bit. It helps stop that galvanic corrosion that we all see. We spray the whole coil. We tear down the whole system. We spray it here locally. We have a warehouse that we do it in, and it does help. So yes, it does help to Tech Junkie, but you can get more than 5 years out of that one. But if you're sitting direct oceanfront, northeast corner, you're gonna get, it's gonna rot away, dude. It happens. Um, they're getting better. There's, manufacturer carrier offers a coastal unit that is actually just made for the salt coast environment. It's got a little bit of a better coil on it. They've switched now to it's an all aluminum coil. They used to be like an epoxy dipped aluminum copper. It was great. It had the double coated cabinets and stuff. They held up really well. They've switched to something else now. Time will tell. The one thing that we do a lot of, that we sell a lot of Daikin. We're a huge Daikin dealer. That's our flagship, and we coat a lot of them that go out just for that extra security.
Yeah.
So I would recommend getting a coastal coating if you're on the ocean front, within a mile of it, and rinse it off. Clean. Maintenance. Have to have your maintenance done. See if you can get a twice a year maintenance in this environment. So that way they visit you in the spring and in the fall, and just get it cleaned up. Got to take care of it. It's the most expensive thing you're going to put in your home almost. That it's one of the, it's a big investment. So why not just take care of it?
Do you guys have to elevate the units too? Like, do y'all have to worry about flooding at all? Because up where I live, there's a few counties that they require us to even put platforms and things. Is that something you guys are up against at all?
Yes. So, like on the ocean front, everything is up on stilts. Just about everywhere around here, they're elevated at 2-3 feet at least. Some of the ocean front ones, they're 8-10 feet in the air.
Wow.
Yeah, just because of the way everything goes. So we actually have guys that will go out and put an extension ladder up to the platform and work on the units while the ocean washes underneath them. Everything has to be up just for that base flood elevation. And the flood ratings around here, it's one of our local codes that we have to meet.
Yeah.
Depending on the town, they kind of dictate what.
Tech Junkie's asking specifically about those blue coils that Daikin, where they have that protective coating. What cleaner to use on there? And I actually don't even know the answer to that. I would assume that some cleaners are going to be too strong for that coating.
A new bright coat, and I would pass this off to Philip Brickhouse, our service guy. That kind of thing. He would know probably better than I do what they've done in the field more. New Bright's fine. We use triple D and dilute it down. That's one of our big things is triple D. Really just water. Here it just helps. Just put water on it. It helps more than anything. Before cold cleaning, like he said, if we coat it here with our spray, we use a bronze glow coil coat. I think it's called. I'm gonna lose it. But we use a coastal spray. It's actually blue. It's a beautiful blue too. It's like the Daikin blue. It's cool. It goes great with the heat pumps. But after you put that on, you don't want to use any harsh chemical on that because that will eat it up. The Daikin coating that they put on like the mini splits and stuff, I'm not sure exactly what that is, and I'll have to defer that question off to my service manager, kind of what he would recommend on that. 'Cause I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, sometimes Tech Junkie gets really technical with some of his, hence his name. He gets really technical with some of his questions. He likes to put me on spot. And if you notice when he asked that question, I just pushed that off on you. I acted like, but we had a
golf coat. Can you tell him can you mute him? He is completely wrong. It is not golf coat.
We'll just boot him out of here in just a moment.
Please do.
We had a customer years ago that it was an apartment complex and they had all these old Linux units, and you would rub your finger across the outdoor unit. And I can't even exaggerate how, brittle and feeble those, I can't even exaggerate. You would just lightly touch it and it would turn into a powder. And, and so I always wondered, even to this day, was it Linux? Was it the maintenance guys spraying something on there and not rinsing it? Or was it the fact that they're literally a half a mile down the road from a paper mill and what the heck is in the air that we are all breathing? I've always wondered what was going on with those coils. So
I think you had the whole hat trick. It was a trifecta of all three of them put together. I don't want to. We have a lot of owners here that have. I don't want to say a lot of owners. Let me back that up. We have a couple of owners here that have Linux that we work on. And the first Linux I came across when I was a salesman out on the ocean front, I could see through. It was just the copper core. There was no fins. It was gone. And I have a picture of it still somewhere because it was amazing. It was see through. And
yeah,
the one sit there was I believe there was another carrier or something on the stand sitting beside it, but had been there a couple years, but it looked great. It was weathered, it looked fine. It's just amazing how that went through. So I don't want to badmouth Linux, but
the proof is in the pudding. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at my list of questions that I wanted to literally in big bold letters at the bottom. Unfortunately, with this, it's all we've talked about so far, but I was like, definitely ask about the abuse that those systems get. So let's do this. Take me back to a young Ron years ago, only a couple years ago, because you're not that old, but years ago, how did you get to where you are right now?
So I guess I'll take you back to my Outer Banks. Well, I'm from originally Spotsylvania, Fredericksburg, Virginia. That's where I grew up. I moved down here about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago. I became a police officer. I went to the police academy, became a police officer.
Did you really?
And yeah, so I was a police officer for a while, and then went to the fire department. Was a firefighter for years, and I was working there. You work 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So I was doing another odd job, working managing a amusement thing up the road, and one of the technicians that worked here at the time for Outer Banks Heating and Cooling, we were at the time, not 1 hour. He said, "Why don't you come work for us? I think we're looking for some people." Sounds fun. I came down, interviewed, talked to Brian McDonald. Brian said, I was interviewing for a warehouse manager position, and I didn't know what it entailed. It just sounded cool. And he said, "No, why don't we open up something for you in the office? Give me a couple days and I'll call you back." I said, "Cool." And day or two later, I got the call. Come on in, and I started as a client care representative, a customer service rep. I answered the phones, and that's how I got involved. It was almost 17 years ago. Started at Outer Banks Heating and Cooling, answering the phones, and I worked just about every job up the ladder I could to where I am today. That's how I got started in the field. Haven't done anything else in HVAC except for Outer Banks Heating and Cooling. We turned into a 1 hour. 2018 time, 2019 is when we started as a 1 hour. They approached us. Wasn't a hard sell. They came to us. They met with us about a week later. I was in Florida at a meeting with them. Bunch of great guys, and went on board with them, and that was all she wrote.
That's crazy, man. How different your path would have been had you got the warehouse position.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just stayed there.
Yeah. Well, I really didn't know what it entailed at the time. Now seeing everything, I kind of get what Brian was at. Back then it was a little bit different than it is now. It was the guy who changed the oil on the trucks then. Now we've grown so much. It's a whole thing now, keeping the inventory, because we don't go to the parts houses on the Outer Banks, as you're probably familiar. We don't have any. We have a Michaels up the road, but that's about it. Ferguson stocks a little bit of stuff down here, but it's nothing like up in Hampton Roads area. So we order everything out of Virginia. I would say our biggest distributor is Johnstone Supply out of Virginia Beach. And
boo.
I know, right? I'm sorry.
That's who I work for now.
So we get everything out of Johnstone. We do some Virginia Air stuff like that, but we truck everything in, and we store everything we need here. that way we're not going out to the supply houses and stuff like that. So we have a massive warehouse. We're about a 14,000 square foot warehouse that just has every widget you can think of. We do new construction, so all the boots and collars and all that kind of stuff, flex. So the warehouse position is now like a big deal. And our warehouse manager, Kaylin, she handles it with grace now. I feel for her.
She's probably the punching
Patience.
bag at times, just having to, why is this wrong?
If we're
And
out of something, and that's what I've been told too. I'm like, man, you need to calm down when we're out of something. I'm like, I get it, but why are we out? But it's hard. We actually, we have this huge inventory, and we don't have an inventory program. So it is literally a count by hand thing. I'm working on it though. Don't I see everybody out there rolling their eyes. I'm working on it. All right.
yeah, we are all judging you right now, sir.
Yeah, the software I have doesn't have an inventory part in it that's good. So I'm waiting for the next software to come.
Yeah.
Before I can get
Yeah.
yeah, so warehouse manager, I don't know where I'd be. I probably would quit.
That's pretty cool though. I mean, I'm just picturing because I think about like you said the supply houses, and sometimes there's in fact Horace and I, sometimes he'll tell me a story and I'll be like, I was dealing with this over here and I had no idea that was going on over there. And I bet Kaylin deals with some of that too, where sometimes there's like multiple fires that she's fighting at the same time, and those guys probably don't even know what she's up against some days.
And it's hard, like at the distributor level. We don't have a great territory manager at Johnstone that helps us. So, trying to get around, that hurdle, you expect good people to help you out. And the guy that helps us, that calls on us the most, is just terrible. So,
yeah, I can't stand that guy.
I know. I'm waiting for the text. But, oh, here they come.
So what do you think? What's your favorite thing about what you guys do down there? Is there anything out of the ordinary, or is it just business as usual?
My favorite thing is delivering home comfort to the great citizens of the Outer Banks. That sound good with a pen? All right, and cut. I would love to say that, if you're talking on a personal level, I'd love to say, going to the beach and, doing all the fun things that, the tourists do and stuff like that here. My wife would definitely call me a liar. I haven't been to the beach once this summer. I see it. I drive past it. Looks fun. A lot of sand. But I would say probably I work. If I'm not working here in this office, I'm at home working on a project, which once again my wife hates. Man, that sounds bad. But no, we're trying to. I have an RV now. I bought an RV, so I'm hoping maybe I can get that out at some point. We bought it a year ago. I've taken it like 4 times. And pretty terrible. We go up your way a lot,
That is so crazy because for me it's the other way around. We bought a travel trailer this year and we come down your way all the time. So
so we cross a lot. I need to get out and do it more though, but I'm trying to do more fun things now and get off the beach and do a couple things. I think this weekend I got to go to the water park. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the water park.
Not a fan?
You got to do it. Not a fan of the water park. I it's something about all the people and kids and concrete and screaming, and I'm just. But anyway, I do it. I have an 11-year-old and one going on 2, so pretty much a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old. They both have birthdays next month, and so it gets exciting. It gets fun.
Yeah,
we just came back from Washington D.C. last week. We went to Washington, and the 2-year-old was in rare form a couple of times, especially at the zoo. Took her away from the elephants, and you thought it was the end of the world. And a lot of other people at the zoo thought it was the end of the world as well.
How dare
but
you?
anyway, sorry, kind of getting sidetracked there. The Outer Banks, there's a lot of cool stuff here, man. We got Jockey's Ridge, the largest sand dune on the East Coast, largest living sand dune on the East Coast. So that's pretty neat. If you ever come down to the Outer Banks, there's Kitty Hawk Kites right across the street. They're always doing kites and hang gliding and stuff off of the sand dune. Pretty fun stuff. But
Do
yeah,
y'all have any?
you're probably asking more professionally.
Do y'all have any? Are y'all mostly residential, or do y'all have any interesting customers like a water park? Because y'all have some pretty unique things in your area that feel like nobody else has.
We shy away from the commercial stuff. We don't really get into commercial. We have some light commercial, a couple restaurants. So we get into 20-ton gas packs and stuff like that, but that's about the extent of it. No chillers or anything like that. I say that jokingly. If Philip is watching, he's laughing too about the chillers. It's an inside joke here. But mainly all residential. We're pretty much, I would say 90% residential, if not 95, with an occasional restaurant or business here. But they're all split systems or up to a 20-ton package unit.
20 tons still pretty big. I mean, I don't think I ever worked on anything. I think the largest we ever worked at my company was 7.5. So 20's.
Oh, really?
That's impressing me over here. So
I have actually a 20-ton gas pack sitting in my parking lot. If you want it, you can have it. Johnstone was supposed to come get it. You can have it. It belongs to Johnstone. They were supposed to come pick it up and never did.
It's probably
more than welcome to it. It is Horace's fault, and that's why I'm saying it. I was just on the phone with him today. Like, hey, Horace, this thing's still in the parking lot.
We've got Tony Mormino on here.
Horace.
Tony's the host of HVAC TV, and he probably is giggling at 20 tons because his company, they do a lot of big industrial stuff. So Horace says, shut this show down right now. He's tired of it. He's had enough. So.
You want me to tell him why I haven't one in my parking lot, Horace? Didn't think so.
So I'm really excited to ask you our next question, but I'm going to hold off on that. And I told you at the beginning of or before we got on live that we have a goofy invention segment. So let's jump to that segment here. So our goofy invention segment tonight, Ron told me he does have a goofy invention. Although yours didn't sound that goofy, but you did say it might ruffle some feathers. So I'm all for, I've ruffled a lot of feathers in my day since doing this YouTube stuff. So feel free.
Right. So this is the point where if there's a contractor on here, earmuffs, because you're not going to want to hear this one. And it's not so much a goofy invention. It's just something I kind of want to see. I want to be able to take a Carrier coastal unit or, well, one of the old coastal units. Let's not get into the new thing. One of the nice old ones that I know worked. Take a Carrier coastal unit and I want to put it in one of the resin pool heater cabinets that I don't have to worry about rust or corrosion. Like I kind of want to build my own top of the line, coastal unit with a resin cabinet and all aluminum piping and all aluminum and still epoxy dip coil, and put it on the ocean front and see what we can do. I can sell them. I'll call it the tank or something.
Do they make something right now with that kind of a cabinet? Because I'm searching resin cabinet HVAC.
I've seen it in pool heaters before. I don't know which brand.
Okay.
Somebody maybe in the chat knows which brand. But yeah, is that one right there?
Can you see my screen? Is that it?
I can see your screen. That's probably has a resin cabinet. They actually look like a heat pump, the ones I've seen before. Somebody chime in if you know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't have any. It's almost as because right now we have the steel cabinets. A lot of times those go for the coils. They go the day you put it on the stand. Sometimes I mean they're terrible. But I just think that'd be a great thing. Contractors hate me, homeowners love me. I want to build it, and then I'll sell it to the masses.
I'm just trying to search. So plastic. What
I
I
know.
searched resin.
I wish I knew
Plastic pool
what
heater.
the brand. I've seen it one time. Um, it's
Yeah,
still
maybe
it's. I
something.
see how it would get enough air. It still has the It's still slotted. It still has all the openings on it and stuff like that. But it's actually resin. So it's not a
Yeah.
full resin cover.
So
Yeah.
you're saying that this all would be like almost like resin or I mean, this is probably not the correct term, but I'll just say plastic or fiberglass
Yeah.
instead of metal. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And even but it's got like the brakes in it instead of putting like a grid on it, it just has the openings every once in a while. I wish I knew who made it. I'm gonna find that picture and send it to you, Josh. Um
It's a really
uh
cool concept,
Somebody
actually.
does.
You're ruining our goofy invention segment because this isn't very goofy.
I
This
know now
you
I've
might
gone
want to
down
hurt.
into the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might want to
Let me call the patent
actually
office
hurry up
real
and
quick. Let
patent
me
this. I mean, somebody sewed sleeves onto a blanket and called it a snuggie and became a millionaire. So, this is not as crazy as that. So, but I think that's definitely a pretty cool idea. Daikin, if you're listening, get on this.
I know,
Um,
right?
yeah.
Where are they at? Where let's get them on the phone. We can sketch this out on a cocktail napkin and have it by tomorrow. Like, let's do this. I'm trying
uh,
to read what some people are putting in the. I'm thinking a Trex frame with stainless steel. Yes, the Trex product's the only thing I can find around here that holds up. I see now. My guess is okay because we think they're jumping because they're getting plastic and not metal. I can see that. I can see that. But when they look at the metal one next to it rusting away, they'll understand.
yeah, that's the thing, right? So let me actually
Yeah.
go back to my let me put my thing back up here. Which, oh, by the way, guys, I finally figured out. So I used to stream to YouTube, to Facebook, to Instagram, and to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the problem. I finally figured it out. If I try to stream to my LinkedIn profile live, it will not let me do screen share. And it's drove
Huh.
me nuts for long enough. So no more LinkedIn, at least for now. We will not be fighting that fight any longer. I even replaced. I was telling Ron before the show. I replaced my own internet service. I got Starlink because I've been fighting that fight long enough on our show here. So, but anyway, so saltwater heat pump. Let's see if what kind of pictures pop up here. So, oh, no, this is saltwater. Hmm, saltwater air. Maybe I'll just put
Man, I
AC.
wish.
Yeah, so you guys are used to seeing this all day long, probably. So stuff like this. Just
Yeah, we put
rotted
that one in last
out.
week, I think.
Yeah, last week. She's a week old,
Yeah,
folks. They did not get the coating.
no coding on that one. Um, yeah, we see that all the time. That's pretty common what you're seeing there. The fins coming off of the copper coils. Um, yeah, all day long.
Huh. Yeah, I'm just not using the right keywords. Normally I get well, that's probably a good representation of what you guys see a lot, something like that. So,
Yeah,
and-
that's typical.
huh. That's so crazy because, I live near the water too, but we're on the bay. It's nothing like what you got. I mean, you guys are the heating and air units are just getting abused constantly by folks.
Hmm.
I mean, by the
Yeah, and
atmosphere. So.
yeah, and it's if it's staying on the stand, the house is floating away. So we just had lost another one to the ocean. I don't know if you saw it on the news or not. Just
You
fell
lost
into
the
the water
house?
and the
The
whole
house just
house.
went away?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Down in I think the southern beaches, Rodanthe and stuff. It
Oh my
literally
gosh.
hit the water and the whole house floated away. It's actually got a look it up. I think it was in Rodanthe. And Philip texted me because he's chicken to type in the chat thing. My service guy, he said Hayward. He thinks it was a Hayward. But yeah, that's it right there. That's one of them. I think that's the older one. I don't think that's the new one. The one that just went yesterday. But that's what's going on down here right now. They're cleaning up down there, trying to get all that out of all the debris. I think they said the debris was, don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, but I believe Philip told me today it was 11 miles. Maybe Ray did.
So this gives me a good idea. The new slogan for this new improved epoxy resin cabinet unit will be, your house might float away, but your heating and air system will be fine.
Yeah, so it's going with it. It's not going to go until the house goes.
Oh man, that's crazy. So as I said before, I'm excited to ask you my next question. But before I do, folks, if you're in the chat, do me a favor. A lot of folks have already done it more than usual, so I really appreciate it. Hit that like button on whatever, if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're watching us on Facebook, just hit that like button. It just helps us out so much. But that said, my next question for you is, do you have any horror stories? Any crazy horror stories that you could share with us in all your years of doing this?
I mean, about probably the day I started dealing with Johnstone Supply.
You're gonna get me in trouble, man.
That's the plan. That's where I'm going with it. You're gonna be in the office in the morning, then I'm gonna be.
I know it. I am.
Horror stories. I haven't had nothing comes to the top of mind for me. My biggest horror story is ruining somebody's home. Like that's my biggest fear and we see so many people. Somebody's calling me now, upset. So we do so many calls and run so many. We always have a problem. Drain lines. Drain lines are they're our Achilles for some reason, and I don't know if it's because the sand kind of blows up in them and turns it whatever. We were getting the oh man, I forget the technical word for it now, but there was some technical word that Daikin has for the white slime that comes off the coil. You might know it actually. But that combined with the sand forms concrete, and we deal with that pretty terribly. So ceilings, we have some decent drywall guys that we know really, really well, too well, for the ceiling damages from, slime and eight. What is that stuff called? It's,
I don't know. There's some gross looking pictures right here, though. Hopefully nobody's eating watching this.
Is that ramen? Zuglia. Tech Junkie has it.
Zuglia. I haven't even heard of that before.
I believe he has it right, or I believe that Zuglia is some kind of thing. I don't know what even to call it right now. I can't think. But yeah, so my horror stories, I really don't have any like terrible things that has happened to me, knock on wood, from the HVAC side of things. Police and fire, that's a different story. But yeah, look at that. That's fun. So I don't have anything, just ruining ceiling after ceiling after ceiling. It gets pretty old. I'd like to call out Philip Brickhouse, our service guy, and
get it together, Philip.
Thank you very much. You've had the pleasure of meeting him several times, and I was dealt a bad hand, kind of like the Johnstone thing.
I personally would like to say, Philip, it was a pleasure meeting you, and I appreciate any time you're willing to give me, Philip. So I'll just leave it at that.
I think this is where Josh offers you a job, Philip, and you go there.
I I'll share mine. I've shared this on our show
Yeah,
before.
please.
The craziest horror story, I don't want to say horror story, but the craziest story is I was working at a small company that did heating and air and electric, and I was putting lights in this strip club of all places. Now, the strip club was not open. It was literally me. Talk about something that is surreal, just standing in the middle of this gigantic strip club, and you're the only soul around, and it's completely quiet. And so I'm standing there and I'm doing the lights and stuff. Well, anyway, my boss at the time shows up and we're tracing a circuit and we find this hidden door and we open it. It was one of those like move this brick type things and this door
Yeah.
flips open.
Right.
And it wasn't quite that extreme, but it was pretty crazy. And so we go through the door and it opened up into this entire like 8-bedroom apartment, and every room had a bed in it. And we can only guess what that part of the business was for. But I'm like, this is crazy.
All right, you
Man, and
win. You.
that was probably 20 years ago now. So, but
How do you ask other people's horror stories when you have that? You win. Like I don't. You gotta stop asking for that segment. Just be like, I got everybody beat. Don't worry about it. You know.
we've had some pretty fun ones. We've had some um
I'm sorry, I don't have anything fun like that.
Hor-
I
Horace
live
says
a
you'll
pretty
stand up for
bland.
Philip, but not me. I think
He
Horace
will
is
do it all day,
amazing.
every day. I love Forrest so much. It's like, Duncan, where is this? That's you for a friend. Him and Horace are
It's in
going.
Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, don't get lost there. I'm
so
not far away. I spent some time in Richmond. It's actually a great place. I like it.
yeah, I bet Fredericksburg is quite grown up quite a bit since you was lived there, because it's crazy how fast that just a little bit of time. I remember going there and then
Yeah.
going there again a couple years later, and it just exploded.
So I left there in
So
2003, and yeah, I haven't been back until last week. Honestly, it's kind of funny that you say that. I haven't been back since 2003, and I went back last week. Took my family there because they wanted to see where I was from, and it has. I didn't recognize the place. It blew my mind how much it's grown up. It's
yeah,
insane. There's a lot of everything's moved down from DC, area. I mean, it's crazy.
Tech Junkie's
I'm
making a
only in
trip to
Roanoke. You need
to Richmond
Tech
all of
Junk,
a
you need
sudden.
to be finding a house on the Outer Banks. Is what you need to be
There
doing.
you
Come
go.
on down.
There you go. Never mind
I
these
can't. I
secret
can't get
doors
you.
and
Yeah. I don't have any cool things like that here. So if that's what you're looking for, yeah, I'll give you a cookie, but that's about it.
so what does a day for Ron Seidman look like? Like, what's the average day look like for you? What battles are you fighting?
um, I get in the office, right about now. This time, I get at 6:45. You know, um, emails first thing in the morning. Um, and then everybody starts to pour in. Our office, we kind of open up about 7:30 is when the guys start getting here. The installers, they get here at 7:30, and get all their stuff squared away to get out the door, hopefully by 8. Um, and it's a lot of. I go back to my old job. It's a lot of firefighting. I will sit down and try to do something, a task that I have, or try to get something done, and he I'm sorry, horse is killing me, dude. Just please. um and so I have to deal with that. That's what I deal with all day. That Horus. Um but
Poor
it's
guy.
just a lot of putting out small fires. We have a great group here. If I can say anything, it would be that our team is fantastic. I'm the longest running guy here. So I've had the honor to handpick most of them, and they're just outstanding people, and they're fun. We try to do a whole environment, that doesn't necessarily need an HR person, but um, you know, we just have fun. Everybody jokes, everybody laughs, everybody, their kids come through here. Sometimes their pets are in here. We just have a lot of fun. So I get to come to work and be with my friends. They won't leave me alone though. That's the problem. Katie, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Katie's our operations manager here. She handles the brunt of everything for me. She keeps so much stuff off my plate. So that's a relief. I'm able to kind of forecast where we're going, forecast what we need to do. I fight people like Horace all day long on pricing and trying to get the better deals, out of everything. But Katie is your source. That makes sense now. I promise when Katie came to work here a few years ago, that was one of the things that sold her. I said, come to the dark side. We have cookies. And she's never let me live that one down. Sorry, Tech Junkie, you might not get cookies. I'll buy you a batch of cookies, man. I'll go get you some Oreos or something, dude. I promise. You come down, I'll get you cookies. I say that, I lie. I'm going to have Katie go get you cookies, but we'll get you cookies. So the typical day is that, and I leave the office at 6. And hopefully everything's still here. The fires are out, and we start it back over tomorrow. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of typing, a lot of emails, a lot of spreadsheets. That's my day. I don't go out in the field really that much anymore. I sit behind this desk and I'm here for 12 hours. God, man, my life is terrible. This doesn't sound real good.
It's all being put into question now.
This is great.
I had no intentions of talking about this, but I thought about this as you were talking, because this is something that's come up on my show before. And that is, you have mentioned several of the people in leadership positions at your company are ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And, one thing I've said more than once on my channel is my best employees at my company were always ladies. Now there were exceptions to that rule. I had a couple good fellas, but I would have to go through 30 guys to find a good one. Whereas, I think out of the 7 to 10 ladies that I hired the entire time I was in business, maybe only one wasn't, maybe a bad attitude, or maybe she just, wasn't there, doing the right things. But other than that, ladies are just, I don't know, they're more mature, they're better employees, they're
yes,
just less drama sometimes.
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 Yeah, I've talked about Katie. No, but so to actually, if you don't mind, I'll take a second on that. We have about 40 people here. And so our whole front end is all ladies. Our office manager, our operations manager, obviously our warehouse manager. We are our install coordinator. They have a better demeanor. They get on the phone and people listen. They can. It's a wonderful. If there's a problem, it's almost the homeowner calms down and listens to what they have to say a little bit more, and it is really strange, how some of the dynamics work. I love it. We have a female technician. She does great. She kills. She when she started here, she was really she was green, and she's out there slaying it, and I love it because it just shows that this is anybody's game. I mean, this is anybody's career path. It doesn't really matter. It's not just left for the men. I would say my better calls that I've made in business were calls like that. When I started at the company, we were all men except for one female. I answered the phone with another guy in the office. At the time, it was probably, I don't want to say at the time, but maybe at the time, it was probably a better thing because some of the technicians weren't the nicest. So if you have like a technician you're talking to in the field who's just been out in the field for 8 hours in an attic, they're going to be gruff. They're going to say things that, that might offend. Our ladies here will hand it right back to them and then some. I love it. They're ornery and they're great. They're great people. They're assets to us. So yeah, all day long, all day, every day. We go to career fairs and stuff like that. And if I'm there, I'm grabbing for them because they really are assets to everything that we do. They've changed the dynamic in this office for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tech Junkie wants to know if you go all the way down to Hatteras.
We cover from the Virginia line to the Hatteras Ferry docks. And our service area goes almost out to Greenville, North Carolina. So if you imagine the map of North Carolina, we have a huge chunk of it. Right now, we're not servicing out that far. We do service daily from the Virginia line to Hatteras, to the ferry docks. We cover all of Hatteras and all that. And we go out to Elizabeth City. So that's our service area. We're an hour pretty much each direction. For right now, we have plans to open up, further out, going out towards Greenville and stuff.
Ooh, is that top secret information that we just shared exclusive here on the HVAC Guide?
It's going to be a
show?
fun fall. Stay tuned. It's going to be a fun fall. Stay tuned. We're doing some things. We're gonna have some fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we've got some. We definitely have some irons in the fire. So yeah, you can kind of see. If you just take that whole, right where you're at, that's us. Up a little bit, but yeah, we don't. The one thing we don't do, and we get this question, we don't go to Ocracoke. That ferry ride is just no. I don't do Ocracoke. We used to when we were Outer Banks Heating and Cooling, we did. But the ferry stopped running at a certain time, and if the sound isn't exactly the calmest,
they're stuck.
The ferries don't run, and then what do? Yeah, you're stuck. If a storm rips up the sound, you're stuck. You're on Ocracoke for a while. Yeah,
interesting.
So yeah, we don't go out that way. It's like a 45-minute ferry ride. And somebody will probably correct me, one of my guys, honestly, and tell me no, it's 38 minutes. But it's a long ferry ride. Yeah. I get that stuff a lot too.
I had one of those.
It happened 3 times. It was twice.
I'd be like, it's almost 3:00, and he'd be like, actually, it's 2:52, and and I'm like, yeah, almost 3:00. So
yep, almost. There was an almost in there. Yeah, a roundabout.
Yeah,
I'm trying to read what some of these guys are saying. Yeah, all the way down to Hatteras. No, not single. Sorry. Unless you're talking about me, then offers are on the table. Yeah, so Wilmington is not our area. Wilmington belongs to the Myrtle Beach group out of South Carolina. They creeped up into North Carolina and have Wilmington. Yep. So that's Richie Drew and Marty Landry down in Myrtle Beach. Great people, great guys. And we actually, as a 1 hour, that's part of the thing. We talk to them. I'm great friends with Ryan in the Virginia Beach 1 hour. He owns all of that, and he actually has Tennessee and Pittsburgh. And so we share everything. And that's one of the great things about being a franchise. We can't go in each other's territory, so we're not competing against each other. So we share all of our information with each other, and it's outstanding. If I have an issue, I call Ryan. I'm like, hey man, I got this going on. What do you think? And he tells me what they would do. He never calls me and asks for anything though. Yeah, that sucks, huh? He never, but I mean, he's got like the number 2 1 hour franchise in the nation.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got a great outfit up there. They're really killing it. So I call them a lot for advice. Marty and them aren't far off either. Marty and Richie.
I'd love to, if the situation ever arises, I'd love for you to maybe introduce us because, that's really cool.
You work for Johnson.
Especially,
he does not want to meet you.
Well, I mean, I also have the top HVAC show in the nation for homeowners. So there's that.
There you go. There. That is yes.
I don't just work.
We'll
for
see
Johnson.
If we can scooch in. Just don't have Horace around.
Yeah. No Horace. Yeah. Anyway.
That's actually. Can I answer this question real quick for tech?
Absolutely.
That's actually a great thing that we get all the time. 1 hour. What's the deal with 1 hour? So 1 hour isn't. We'll be there in an hour. We only take an hour on the job. 1 hour is we give a 1 hour window of service. So instead of saying that we'll be there at some point today, which we still do all the time, you can reserve a 1 hour window. Ours is 8 to 9 in the morning. Our first call, 8 to 9 in the morning, we will be there within that hour. Now we're not having customers like the cable companies do and stuff like, oh, they give you a 4 hour window. No, we give you a 1 hour window. And as you can tell, as you any of the technicians and contractors on the chat would know, by the end of the day, you can't guarantee you're going to have a 1 hour window because the job before just lasted so long. So that's always a morning thing. But that's what the 1 hour thing is. It's not we're going to take an hour. We'll be there within an hour. We just have a 1 hour window. Sorry.
I thought it was I've heard the jingle a million times. I thought it was always on time or you don't pay a dime.
And that goes with that. If you have that 1 hour window, so if we're not there by 9 a.m., then you don't pay for the service call. And that it's whatever happens in that service call. So it's not just like the service call fee or something like that. It's if we're not there on time, you don't pay. And I do a 2 to 3 calls a day. I got an 8 hour window. That's about where we're at. Our technicians, I think they're doing about 4 or 5 a day now. Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, because he will. But that's about what we're running, 4 or 5 a day.
And if 1 hour sees this, we're always accepting sponsors on our show. I'm just saying, they have not sponsored us. We're always accepting. We have a few spots open.
They haven't reached out yet. You didn't get the flowers? I thought they had sent something. Never mind.
They didn't send the cookies or flowers,
No cookies, flowers. It was one of those edible arrangements.
I think that's really cool about you were telling me about the camaraderie between the different businesses, because I feel like if folks had more of that, they maybe we would even see an elevation in our entire industry where, maybe we would see higher standards across the board, just because guys are raising those standards together,
Yeah. And well, even here, I know a couple people from a couple different companies and the other guys here do too. Phil talks to other companies all the time. We all share. I agree with what you said. I think that would be awesome. Our top competitor here, I have his cell phone and my cell phone, I have some questions for him. Actually, I need to get up with him about now. He's an expert at the inventory program that I don't have that I wish I had. So I'd love to talk to him about that. And he knows that phone call's coming. He's been told. I think Phil told him. But yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. We can all share. It's not. We don't have nuclear launch codes we're giving away, guys. This is air conditioning. There's enough to share. And there's enough to talk about. There's enough to make it all better. And when we get some contractors that come, don't want to badmouth anybody, that slip in and don't have licenses and do it for next to nothing. It's if we band together, we don't have to deal with that, and we can save the homeowners a lot of hassle.
Yeah. Yep. Homeowners think that when we say things like that we're saying that because we're greedy, and no, we're tired of going behind those folks with lower standards,
That's right.
Having to fix
and like I
their
explained to her,
screw-ups.
yeah, and if they don't have a license, they're not getting a permit. And if you don't get a permit, your insurance company, if something does go wrong, doesn't have to cover you. That's one of the things that kind of go along with the permit is you're doing it legally. So if something were to fail, you're safe. If you're using a company that doesn't get a permit, it doesn't have a license, I mean, you're just rolling the dice.
Yeah.
You're rolling the dice. Cheapest isn't the best. We're not the cheapest. And, what's the saying? Cheap is cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap is cheap.
Or you get what you pay for.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. So
we're going to wrap up
think
in
we
just
all
a
do.
moment. I've got one more question for you, but
Sure.
before we wrap up, if you're in the chat, do me a favor. We wrap up every week the same way, and that is, we all know there's some bad apples in our industry. We've talked about it on our show before. If you know a good apple, if you know a good heating and air, plumbing, or electrical business that is a good apple, feel free to share them in the chat. We'll highlight them. I'll highlight them on the screen, And not only will we highlight them, but you never know, someone in your area might see your comment and you'll be able to show them more than just a highlight. You might be able to send a little business their way. So if you know any good apples, share them in the chat. That said, last question for the night, Ron. Think about your closest family member that you don't live with. I don't know who that is, but whoever it is, they call you tomorrow for a piece of advice. They're about to buy a heating and air system. What's the one piece of advice you're going to give them?
I would say, get a Daikin. I like the 12-year warranty. Not trying to pitch it, the emblem's down there in your corner. The number one thing I would say, don't live with me. I'll tell you, honestly, it's my brother. He lives in New York. My advice to him would be vet your contractor, get referrals, get references, get something, look at it pretty hard. I don't want to say, that all the reviews and stuff like that, because we have Google reviews, we have a lot of them, we have a lot of Facebook reviews and stuff like that. And they're give and take. Some companies get them, you can pay anybody to get a review. We don't do that. But some companies do. You can tell if they're fake because it's like, oh, #1 top movie. And it's like, wait, this is an HVAC company. But vet your contractor, make sure they have a license, make sure they have referrals, make sure they've been in the game. The number one thing that I can say is make sure they're going to be around July 4th weekend when your air conditioner fails, because that's when it always goes out. Is at the worst time you can possibly imagine. And if you're using, for lack of better words, a chuck in a truck, they're going to be on a boat somewhere. They're not going to be able to help you. And then we got to come in and figure out what was going on and why. So my advice would be vet them, make sure they're going to be around. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to use the bigger guys because you think we're all greedy or we're higher priced. We have more overhead because there's more people here to help. We have fully stocked trucks, things like that. So the price goes up with the assurance that you're going to get a good job and they're going to be there. If I had to stand on a soapbox and say that to everybody, I would go with that. But I know you're trying to wrap up and I kind of wasted your whole entire show tonight rambling on and on. So I'm going to shut up.
No, not at all. This was good. I appreciate your time. Those of you that have stayed this long, we do appreciate it. That said, we will be back next week. Ron, thank you for coming on, man. I really do appreciate your time.
Anytime, man. I'd love to do it again. Maybe we can actually talk about work stuff.
This was a pleasure. Yeah. Well, maybe we can get you and Phil on here and have a little back and forth. And
let's calm down.
Y'all.
I got to be around him enough, man. Come on. What did I do to you?
Maybe Katie can get on here and give us the truth behind everything. Give us the real.
I will put
Ron.
Katie on here and you will shut this thing down within 5 minutes. I promise.
Good enough. So yeah, those of you that are in the chat, again, thank you for everybody for your support. It's been a little bit of a process moving everything over to its own YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the new YouTube channel, it's called HVAC Guide Live Show, and it should show up if you search that. But if you can't find it, just go to our original channel, HVAC Guide for Homeowners, and scroll to the bottom and you'll see it right there. You'll be able to subscribe. That said, we will be back next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And again, I will have an amazing guest. He has one of the largest podcasts for home service businesses in the nation. And again, as I said earlier, I used to listen to his show when I had my business. So that said, in the meantime, make it a great week. We'll see you then.